over some really fascinating material about gamification.
Yeah, it's a hot topic, right? How making things more game-like can, well, work in loads of different places.
Exactly. And what we want to do today, I think, is sort of cut through the noise a bit, get to the core of what actually makes it successful.
Absolutely, because looking at what you shared, there's this central idea that keeps popping up.
Which is?
That good gamification isn't just, sticking points or badges onto something. It needs a bigger shift.
A shift in how you think about it.
Pretty much. Thinking like a game designer. That seems to be the key takeaway from these sources.
Okay, thinking like a game designer. Now, you highlighted Jesse Schell's book, The Art of Game Design. That came up a lot.
It did, yeah. It's a cornerstone text for many designers.
And he talks about using different lenses. Now, for someone maybe not familiar, what does that actually mean? Why is it relevant here?
All right, so Schell's lenses are basically different ways to look at the game you're designing, the problem you're trying to solve as a game.
Like different viewpoints.
Exactly. Think of it like looking at a statue from all sides.
Yeah.
You get the whole picture. He talks about, say, a player experience lens, the tech lens, a business one. Lots of them. And thinking like a game designer means you're consciously picking the right lens, the right viewpoint to really analyze the challenge and then build something, compelling.
So, okay, instead of just seeing a problem like maybe low engagement on a company training module.
Yeah, classic example.
You're choosing to see it through this game design lens.
Right.
Which brings us to something Schell says, right? Those 5 words. I am a game designer.
Yes. It sounds simple, doesn't it?
It does, but what's the real significance? What's the weight behind saying that in this context?
Well, it's the act of saying it. The deliberate choice. You're adopting that identity, that mindset.
So you're saying, okay, this challenge, I have low website traffic maybe, or improving hiring, or making teams more innovative.
Any of those.
I'm going to tackle it using the tools and the thinking of a game designer.
Exactly. You're moving from just, identifying the issue to actually envisioning a potential game that could solve it. You start thinking about rules, players, goals.
Got it. So it's less about how do we force people to do this training and more like...
More like what kind of game could we design where doing the training feels, natural, rewarding, part of the flow for the player.
Okay. And that leads to another key point in the sources, the difference between thinking like a gamer and thinking like a game designer.
Oh, huge difference.
Yeah.
Crucial. When you're playing a game, you're in it. You're immersed, right?
Yeah, you're focused on winning or solving the puzzle or just having fun.
Exactly. You don't really want to, pull back the curtain and see how the magic trick works.
Right. Like if I'm playing a great puzzle game, I'm just trying to figure out the solution. I'm not thinking about the algorithms behind it.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
But the game designer, that's their whole job. Pulling back the curtain.
They are the magician.
They are. They're the ones creating the puzzle, analyzing all the bits, the rules, the feedback loops, the difficulty, everything that hopefully leads to that great experience for the player.
So their focus isn't the feeling of play itself necessarily?
Not directly, no.
Yeah.
It's the underlying system, the structure that makes that feeling possible.
Okay, so let's apply that. The game isn't the employee feeling good about learning a new skill in that training module.
Right. That's the desired outcome. The experience.
The game is the actual design of the training program, the way the modules are structured, the challenges, how feedback works, all that underlying stuff.
Precisely. That's the structure the designer builds. The goal is the good experience, the skilled employee, but the designer's work is on those components, those rules.
Makes sense.
And the material you sent points to a really critical first step in actually doing that design work.
Which is...
identifying your players.
Right. Obvious, maybe, but important. So whether it's employees in training or customers on your website or, I don't know, people in a community group.
Whoever interacts with your system, yeah.
You have to consciously call them players in your game. The sources suggest that simple name change has a big impact.
It really does. Because player brings a whole set of ideas with it. The first one the material highlights is that players are the center of the game.
Okay.
Even if the company has a business goal, like more sales or whatever, for the player's point of view, the whole thing revolves around them, their needs, their journey, their motivations within that system. That's number one.
Yeah, that clicks. If I'm that employee taking the training, okay, the company wants me to be better at my job, fine. But my focus is understanding this stuff, seeing how it helps me.
Exactly.
So the game, the training design, has to be built around my learning path, my goals within that training.
Precisely. It's about empathy, really. Understanding what actually drives that person inside the system you're building. Just like a game designer knows what makes their players tick.
Okay, so player centricity. What else comes with thinking player?
The second big thing is uh, the need for control
Mm,
or autonomy. Players need to feel like they're in the driver's seat, at least to some extent.
that they have choices.
Meaningful choices, yeah. And that those choices actually do something. They have consequences within the game's world. It's not just following a script.
Okay, think about like onboarding for a new app or something.
Uh-huh.
Instead of just click here, now click here, maybe a good design lets you choose different setup paths or customize things early on. That feels different.
It feels way different.
Yeah.
That's giving the player agency. They feel like they're shaping their own experience, even within the rules the designer set up. That's vital.
So the game revolves around them and they feel like they have some control within it.
Yeah. And then the third thing the sources mentioned, which sounds almost too obvious,
Go on.
players play.
Huh. Right, it's in the name. But what does play mean here, beyond just interacting?
Well, the material describes it nicely. Something like free motion within a set of constraints that exuberates energy that doesn't necessarily have to have a purpose.
Okay. Unpack that a bit.
Think about just messing around with the settings on a new phone or app, just exploring, seeing what happens.
The tinkering.
Exactly. Tinkering. That's play.
Mm.
It's that natural curiosity, exploring within the boundaries. It's not necessarily about achieving a specific goal right then. It's just engaging freely.
So a designer wants to foster that, create space for that kind of exploration.
Ideally, yes. Create opportunities for engagement that feel, natural, maybe even fun, not just forced or purely about getting something done.
Right.
Less transaction, more interaction.
Okay, player-centric, autonomy, and enabling play. Got it.
And all of this serves what the sources identify as the game designer's two main jobs, really. Their core objectives.
Which are?
First, getting players in, making it easy, inviting, low friction to start.
Right, the onboarding again. Like a game needs a good tutorial, not one that makes you want to quit before you've even started.
Exactly that. How do I make this initial interaction smooth, maybe even delightful? That's question one.
And question two.
Keeping them playing. And crucially, not through tricks or dark patterns, but by creating an experience that genuinely keeps offering value or challenge or enjoyment over the long haul.
Like games that add new levels or have a really compelling progression system.
Precisely. Sustainable engagement based on real value to the player.
So pulling it all together then, thinking like a game designer, it really is this fundamental perspective shift.
It is.
It's adopting the specific way of looking at a challenge, focusing on crafting these interactive systems.
With the players absolutely central.
Making sure they feel in control,
Yeah.
encouraging that natural urge to play.
And always aiming to get them in easily and keep them engaged authentically.
It goes way beyond just, adding a leaderboard somewhere.
Miles beyond. It's about understanding the deep structure of what makes experiences, engaging.
Okay, so for everyone listening, maybe take a second now. Think about a challenge you're facing. Could be anything, boosting team spirit, getting people to adopt a new process, whatever. Try, just as an exercise, reframing it. Think, okay, what if this were a game? Who are my players?
Good first step.
And then ask, how could I design this whole interaction, the system, so those players feel more central, more in control, so they have room to, play a bit within it?
Yeah, it's a powerful exercise. And it leads to maybe a final thought here.
Go for it.
Now that you're starting to put on this game designer hat, looking at your world through this new lens, what else might you see? What unexpected possibilities or novel ways to tackle problems might suddenly pop up just from shifting that perspective?
Interesting. Thinking like a designer.
Yes.
What new games could you create in your own world?
Exactly. What could you unlock?